I have played Prince of Persia at some point in my life. I know I did a little of the remake of the original game, and I played a 3D one for a bit on the 360. A quick search showed that it was Forgotten Sands, but ironically I'd forgotten that. But I've never spent a huge amount of time in the franchise. I don't really know it that well, so today feels like an excellent time to change that with Prince of Persia Sands of Time. As always, let's just jump into it. And we really did just jump into it, huh? The Prince is our narrator telling us the story of what happened, starting with an invasion. Specifically, we're invading. Our job is to steal something while this is going on. We get a bit of a parkour tutorial, followed by a combat tutorial, followed by some more parkour, followed by some more combat, as we work our way around. Understandably, this isn't meant to be difficult. Getting deeper underground, we see the trophy we want, a dagger, but it's out of reach. So now we're going to it, navigating the traps, and finally wall running up a statue, badly, until we finally get the dagger, and immediately discover its time-altering powers. Now we head back and present the dagger to our father, with the vizier wanting it, but we keep it. Then we move on to the next area, presenting the Sands of Time as a gift to some great ruler. We're invited to put the dagger in, we do, and everything goes wrong. We have undead to deal with, and a princess that seemed important. First, the undead. I was expecting it to be hard, being my first proper battle and all, but nah, it really wasn't. With that done, we're going to chase down the princess, because we don't know what else to do. We now have the ability to turn back time if we make a mistake, but at this point, it's low stakes enough that it's hard to make a fatal mistake. The parkour is still quite basic, but I'm also new to doing it on this game, so very happy about that. Killed some more enemies in a bedroom, did some more parkour, found a weird glowy fountain to drink from that raised my health, and then the princess. We don't trust her, but we will work with her. Next we kill some beetles, work our way down to the next room, which feels kind of harrowing, at least judging by the half-naked zombies. Getting out of the room seems hard, until I realised I just had to move a bookcase. Next job is to help a guard activate the palace defences. I won't go through the whole puzzle, because if I did that for all of them, we'd be here forever. Basically, we have a platform to raise and lower, and the ability to grab 4 giant cylinders and bring them with us. We need to bring them with us and put them into the right thing. However, all it did was activate all the traps, so I kind of wish we hadn't done it. Now, the parkour is challenging considering we have traps, but we eventually get outside to the garden and kill a bunch of dead dudes and back in. After a bit more parkour, we find Farah, the princess, but she's got trouble. She's being attacked by an undead army, including the prince's undead father. Now, I would like to tell you that I didn't spend the next half an hour respawning again and again and again because I kept dying. But unfortunately, that would be a lie. Still, I tried. We only have the basic source, we don't have a minimum amount of damage. We need to use the daggers to end the enemies permanently, but if they're on the ground, that leaves you vulnerable to attack. And there are a lot of them. When we finally get to the father, that is a mini-boss, he is easily the easiest one there to beat. After this, the prince loses some clothes. This will become a running theme, and we save, which apparently scares Farah, and after that she explains that the Sands of Time have been unleashed and will destroy everything unless we stop it. Our goal is the Sultan's treasure vault, but this is the end game goal, so we're not getting there quickly. We're going to be going in and out of the palace a lot in this game, as shown by all the parkouring that we're doing out here that mostly went well. After some more zombie murdering, we do some parkouring to make our way up a somewhat circular building. Technically it's an octagon, but this is what they're going for. This is something we'll repeat a lot. The storehouse building is a bit different, also our first chance to die stupidly again. What I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by my own death, was it's a chance to do a puzzle with Farah's help, which is an interesting dynamic that I like, working as a team with her. She's certainly no damsel in distress. After we kill some more undead and solve a box puzzle, it's into the Sultan's zoo. I expected a herd of elephants or something, instead I got some brutes with clubs. 1 star, no animals, pointless though. It does get slightly better when we get inside and attacked by undead vultures. I will upgrade it to 1.5 stars. Sending Farah to the hole unlocks the big and thankfully empty cave for us parkour around. Remember I said this shape repeats? Yeah. Repeats even more when you fall off and cock up the rewind and have to start again. Eventually we get inside some more cages and more traps I wasn't always very good at. I was happy to get away from it. Next up were the bars, which begin as they always should with some stabbing, then navigating some horrid traps and then some more stabbing. It's a shame to do so much fighting in a genuinely nice place. Fortunately though, considering I like this room, we spend a lot of time trying to figure it out and finish it by pushing a box in a hole. Seriously, that's all this room was for. Well, or this part of the room. That box is now in the previous room, which lets us get to a ladder, and that in turn gets us out of the baths. Well, almost. We're not done yet. We're now above the nice room. We get a new sword though, which means we can do some more damage. Good. The combat is already challenging enough as it is. Also, we can now smash through broken doors and walls now, which took us to another fancy drinking fountain. Also gets us to the next real area, which is deep underground. As these are ancient ruins, it's safe to say they're a little bit broken and we need to parkour a little bit. I took a hell of a risk. I cannot believe my luck there. Certainly didn't feel lucky in the next combat section. Some of these fighting areas cannot be relentless. Can be relentless. And I hate the double-ended staff gun. I don't know what to call it. It's not a two-handed sword, but it's like that. It's okay though, because when I get to the next area, it's even harder. I cannot imagine anyone has ever parkoured around a soldier's mess hall before. But I guess we're the first. That gets us outside, then back in, and basically we're trying to get Farah outside. There's more than a few puzzles which are just, hey, Farah can't jump as far as you. Find a way to get her in. With what came next though, I wish we were just helping Farah out still. These sword guys are a bastard. Now, there is a move that involves bouncing off a wall that knocks them to the ground. I knew this move, I had learnt this move, there was a tutorial for this move. At this point, I had forgotten that move existed. As a result, I did it the hard way. Still got it though. We continue for a little bit, but our inability to get to Farah, which is actually our problem this time, we can't get to her, means we're going the long way around. And I hated this bit. Specifically, I hated having to fight vultures while balancing on a narrow wall. Whoever came up with this, whoever you are my mortal enemy. I'm actually relieved we got to these caves. Alright, so the caves have bats, which are bastards, but they are slightly better than vultures. Slightly. Considering we're meant to be meeting up with Farah in some baths, this really doesn't feel like the right way. The cistern feels slightly closer to the right thing, just. Navigating down the trap helps us to climb up and out via a well, right into a bunch of enemies. Naturally. You know, I could absolutely finish this without the time travel stuff, but I'm happy for it when I do dungeon like this. After a bit more work, we finally find the bard and our princess is here, but of course we can't get to her. The enemies can. After hulking our way through some walls, we're here to save her, although with the amount of bastard enemies, I was tempted to just leave. That's a lot. On the bright side, she seems to be falling for us. Must be our irresistible charms and the fact that we sacked her city and kidnapped her. Ah well, time to visit the library. I swear this fight is too loud for a library. The library puzzle is a mirror puzzle. May not have played Prince of Persia properly before, definitely done these. I would tell you it's not too difficult. The first one isn't, the second one in the rafters kind of is though. Gets us to the planetarium and next puzzle. Shame that we continue to prove my exceptional skill through the fight though. Basically, once we're not falling, we need to get up on the planks, rotate a set, swing to the next handle, rotate next and so on. Easy enough concept, basically it's just moving the planets around and so on. It's fun, it's an easy concept but it's fun, definitely more than I had in the trapped hallways. Hey, good news, I remembered the wall bouncing move. Bad news, more vultures on narrow walls. God damn it. The parkour area was meant to be easy, but hey, I did eventually get it and got outside to see problems. We really do need to deal with the sands of time, huh? That's alright though, we're nearly there until the wall crumbled and we managed to fall into prison. Getting down was surprisingly easy and even the enemies were no problem. Torture room wasn't so bad either, and when I get back to Farah, I even handle all the enemies. I'm actually half good at this game now. No doubt Farah is getting a thing for the prince now, but we need to keep moving. Before long we find a giant elevator that she says is definitely not a trap. We need to stop listening to her. We handled it though, and before long we are in the treasure room. End of the game. Not quite. We get up there, put the dagger in. The prince doesn't believe her. I mean, considering what we did to her and the fact that she's being so helpful, yeah, I'm not sure I believe it either in that situation. The vizier is there to take full advantage of that though, who stopped us and sent us into a tomb. And then, well, it kind of went to black, and with all the heavy breathing, I half thought they might have been sleeping together. Then she's gone, and we have to go through a very long hallway, and then a lot of doors to find her. Basically, you must go through the right doors in the right order, or you teleport back to the start. Once that's done, I can do it all again. When I get through the second time, though, we are rewarded with a naked Farah in the bath. Now the prince sleeps with her. And then he woke up, though he may have just been dreaming about sleeping with a princess. Who knows? It's understandable. What I do know is we're under attack and we have no weapons. Fortunately, there's a new sword in the next room, but it's protected by a mirror puzzle. I have no daggers, but at least I have a sword. I was concerned when I hit a group of enemies with no daggers, because I use the daggers to kill them normally. But this sword is OP as hell. Getting back to the palace isn't easy, but it's nothing we haven't done a dozen times before. We arrive to find Farah fighting alone, which doesn't go well. The prince does everything to save her, but she falls anyway. No way, she can't be dead, right? Well, we'll worry about that after we defeat all the enemies, and yeah, she's actually dead. Didn't expect that. The prince is a little angry at the vizier about it, but most importantly, we push the dagger into the sands of time. Time reverses until we wake up in the camp. Before the invasion, the very start of the game, we run to find Farah. I knew she wasn't permanently dead, and give her the dagger, but of course she doesn't know us because we've gone back in time. The prince tells her the whole story. That's who he was narrating to the whole time, and while she doesn't believe us, the vizier does. Now it's time for the final boss, which I honestly found disappointing. He cloned himself a few times, but those clones aren't hard to defeat. When it comes to confronting the real man, I was expecting some kind of major attack, but no, I just hit him a couple of times and he died. Farah still doesn't believe our story, but she is grateful. Not grateful enough to appreciate him kissing her, since she obviously doesn't have feelings for him anymore. However, the prince just has a dagger, so he just reverses it like it never happened. That's cheeky. Then he's gone, and that is the game. So, this is my first proper Prince of Persia experience, not counting playing a couple of games for not very long and never really getting into it. How was it? Honestly, I loved it. It had its problems. Sometimes the enemies were a bit too difficult or too many. Sometimes the controls were not as responsive as they could be. Sometimes when I had to reverse time, it's because the controls didn't work in the way they should have. Sometimes the parkour areas were too repetitive. But honestly, I'm having to nitpick a bit. I wish Ubisoft hadn't cancelled the remake, because most of those issues could have been ironed out with a modern version of the game. It would have been fantastic. But alas, they cancelled it, and hey, we still have this game, it still plays well, and while it doesn't necessarily hold up perfectly, it still does pretty well. I have no nostalgia for it, and I still loved it, so I reckon you will too. That was Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and thank you for watching. There will be more from Prince of Persia. There's 2 other games after this that lead on from this story, so I'm definitely doing those. For now though, we'll be moving on to a different kind of swinging. No, not like that. Get your mind out the gutter. I'll see you then.